People obviously as well are dumping their money into Bitcoin. I mean, what, Bitcoin's at $23,000, setting all types of records and stuff like that. I'm a fan of Bitcoin long term. I love the fact that it's on a blockchain. I look at it more as a way to store value. It's a bet really against the dollar. I can't officially subscribe to the fact that it's a currency right now. The reason I can't subscribe to the fact that it's a currency right now is because of distribution. Bitcoin is not readily accepted as a means of value exchange. Although we have people dumping money into Bitcoin and riding this wave, eventually people are going to want to realize the money that they made. They're going to want to buy something, get a car, get a house, whatever it is that they want to buy. And when they go up and they show up at that transaction, I'm not saying that there aren't one or two vendors that'll accept Bitcoin or one or two banks that'll probably accept Bitcoin, but the vast majority of transactions are not going to occur with Bitcoin. So in order for me to effectively use what I've gained in Bitcoin, I have to sell it and convert it back to dollars in order to buy something. The moment that people get happy or they get to a position where they need the money, they're going to convert it back to dollars. And then when they convert it back to dollars, it's going to be a run on the Bitcoin and it's going to go down. In order for Bitcoin to sustain itself, it needs distribution. It needs to be readily accepted as a means of value exchange. So I don't have to cash out a dollar. If I do trade my dollars in, it's because I'm hedging. I know that the government is going to print more money and it's going to devalue the dollar. In dollars, I can just buy what I want. If I'm in Bitcoin, I don't have that luxury. I don't. I have to convert it. And that's the problem. We will get to a point eventually, and it's becoming more accepted where you have more people willing to accept Bitcoin, but we're not there yet. And until we get to that point, it's going to be extremely volatile. We're going to have booms and busts with Bitcoin. There's going to be bull runs and bear runs with Bitcoin. In short, there'll be winners and losers. So the question is, when do you get in? When do you get out? Who knows? Wall Street is almost like the casino. You don't know when necessarily to get out, but don't get greedy. I know a lot of people saying, hey, I'm going to ride the wave, but you don't want to be the last one on the bandwagon. People that are making money in Bitcoin, I'm happy for you. Any crypto for that matter, I'm happy for you. But you have to think long term as far as distribution. You've made, I don't know, $100,000 in Bitcoin. What are you going to have to do when you need the money? That question has to get answered. If you have a bunch of people that are thinking the same thing at once, we're going to see a run on the coin. I think it's here to stay. I just think that it needs to get more readily acceptable, not only in the US, but throughout the world as well. I'm hoping they figure it out. I'm not a fan of the dollar, and I would love a decentralized currency, to be honest with you. It levels the playing field to some extent, and it gives control of currency to where it belongs, the people, and not banks or central banks, for that matter. With that, 2020 is an eye-opener, and we jumped into a new decade. It got off to a start. I think 2020 sets the tone for the rest of the decade, to be honest with you. I mean, like, we're talking about, people saying the death of office space, right? Which I don't believe. I think office space comes back. I think businesses find it that they're more productive when workers are there. I think some positions can work remote, but I think it's a lot easier for collaboration if it's in person. I think another thing that we have to look at as well, there's two ways to look at office space. The one side of it is that, people are going to stay virtual. And then the other side of it is, people need more spacing. We're going to need to give everybody 6 feet. So now we're going to need more office space than what we had before, because before people were on top of each other, maybe. I can see office space going the other way. And maybe both happens and it equalizes out. I think office comes back. I'm bullish on office space. Hotels, I think, come back. I'm investing in hospitality now, particularly in certain areas. I think, once this COVID is over, I think there's going to be a lot of pent-up demand to go away and to stay in places. I remember when the Twin Towers got hit and they said, nobody work downtown anymore. Okay. Downtown started happening again. I think things are changing. I think a lot of jobs are not going to come back. I was looking at some on Netflix. They were saying that the most popular job in the world is a driver. Immediately what comes to mind, you go to these islands where tourism is the biggest money maker. A lot of the men drive. Some women as well, but a lot of people drive to support their family. It's projected in 10 years, Uber and Lyft, they're going to be basically self-driving cars. In 2030, that's a very real reality. And you look at what do those individuals do to earn money? What's the backup plan, so to speak? What do they do to make money? Once those jobs are extinct, just like a lot of manufacturing jobs, people have to sort of reinvent themselves. We're in a place now where, humans doing the labor, then you have machines doing the labor, but humans working the machines. And now you get in a position where the machines watch the machines. And you don't really need the human to do either anymore. Look at the toll booth clerk. They're basically extinct, at least here in New York. The cashiers forever changed. You don't need as many anymore. I love using the cashiers, to be honest with you. Unless you're a grocery store, you're doing 2 or 3 items, I mean, going extinct. So what happens to those jobs? What do those people now do for a living? And what do they do for a living in a place where jobs are getting less, inflation is getting more, so the cost of living is increasing and jobs are decreasing? Where do you go with that? We have a real problem on our hands in America. It's not going to be solved by politicians. That's the problem I have with politicians, because they're going in toting that it's their responsibility, that they're going to quote unquote create jobs. Politicians don't create jobs. Free market creates jobs. Businesses create jobs. Innovation creates jobs. Rather than looking at what the government can do, we got to take life into our own hands. For most people watching this, I mean, we're in America. I don't know if you guys can tell by looking at me. I'm a black guy in America, and I'm telling you that we're in the best situation. I'm not saying America's perfect. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. Please, let's not go there. This is not a perfect country by any means of the storm. Racism definitely does exist, and I have and do experience it. I'm not saying I do. I experience it daily, but it does show its ugly head every now and again. And I deal with it. What I am saying is that we get paid in gold over here. And a lot of people don't necessarily know what that means. I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody's here is working and making $12 an hour. You can take your $12 an hour that you've made here and you can hire somebody in the Philippines and India, basically have them produce labor for you for less money than you make in an hour. So they may work for you for $3 an hour. I've had people work for $1 an hour to do tasks that help make me money. They don't have that luxury over there. They can't go to quote unquote a McDonald's or an equivalent and make a certain amount of rupees and buy our time. It gives a greater value to our time on a global level. A lot of Americans don't realize how to take advantage of that. But if you have the ability to come up with a way to make money, you can actually go to a job, you can make money, and at the same time, you can hire other people to make money for you with the money you're making on your job. We just have to think different and look at our advantages. We also have to start looking at money on a global perspective. I think too many Americans are looking just nationally, not necessarily globally or even locally, to say like, all I can do is give my time for dollars. As Americans, we have to have a paradigm shift and say, how do we leverage the money that we do make to get people to work for us? In essence, using our capital to allow people to work for us and allow those people to make us more money, to buy back our time. We have to start thinking more like bosses. And that's really what we're about, is, kind of self-awareness and education and being able to do that. We have to stop being broke mentally and really focus on what are some things that we can do in order to kind of shift our mindset into a growth mindset, and obviously continue to pay attention to a lot of these things that are going on. Money is a very powerful tool. It buys you back whatever you look to get from it. Too many of us just want goods and services to buy instead of looking to produce something that gives us income. We have to look into essentially investing in ourselves and investing money to grow it and not just to spend it. We're coming into a situation where you cannot approach this new decade expecting certain jobs to be there. You have to create your own lane and create revenue stream. Now, I'm not saying that jobs are extinct. I'm not saying you're working a steady job, you quit and you do whatever, but what do you do with the money that you make on that job? Is everything out the window? Are you just spending? Or have you taken the stuff that we're talking about and you've taken some of that money and you've decided to have it work? If you're making good money on the job, stay there. That's fine. But take that money or a portion of it, grow something with it. Because a job is like, people laugh at NBA stars, these athletes, they make millions of dollars and they go broke. And they go, oh, you blew millions of dollars or this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. The reality is that most people are going to make over $1 million in their lifetime. Add it up, do the math, they are. So the force or the career is the same thing as an NBA player. It's just stretched out over a period of time. So instead of 5 years, it's 50 years. Let's say you jump in the labor force at 20. Let's say you retire at 70. What happens? You come in, you're a rookie. Come into the job labor field, you're a rookie, entry level. You work your way up. By the time you hit 30s and 40s, now you're making some really decent money. 50, you're at the tail end of your career. And 60, they're looking to trade you, get rid of you, and bring in young talent. You get downsized or let go or laid off or given that severance package at the quote-unquote age of retirement, right, or close to it. And they bring in young talent that they can pay less. And now your income shifts. It goes down. You've had a lifestyle that was here, and now your income is at a lower point. And what have you done with that capital over the course of that 50 years that you've made? What did you do to prepare for quote-unquote retirement? See, we laugh at pro athletes because, oh, you should have saved some of the money. You didn't know that it was going to, but But the reality is that when you're in the position, they feel like it's always going to continue to come in, which is a crazy way to think. And we laugh at them, or we're like, how could you? But the career path is the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. It's spread over 50 years as opposed to 5 years. So now, if you're not thinking about this now, moving and investing and doing all these things with your money, then when's the time? You're looking at making less money in a time that's more expensive. Tell you this, your kids may or may not want you in their house. And I know you love them and they love you too, but sometimes it don't work. Knock on wood, I plan to go into retirement richer than I am now, just because of smart investments and how I move our capital. I've made money in 2020. I'll continue to make money. And I think that we all need to look and figure out what our game plan is. You need one. This is scary times. And if you don't have one, you're going to be that career person potentially that I'm speaking about, because the government is not going to save you. If you love your job now, you think you're the person at your job now, when you're getting to 65, 70, you're not going to be that young superstar talent anymore. You're going to be, he's phasing out. There's a new way to do things. We're changing with the time. Just like teams get rid of people. Like, it hurt my heart when the Knicks got rid of Patrick Ewing. But that's how it works. So we have to be able to deal with that, and we have to be able to adjust accordingly. It's life. I don't want anybody here to get caught with their pants down. So, a couple things about the real estate market. I was talking to a friend today, internet marketer. We're talking about, real estate, what's coming, what's going on. It's a weird time. There are definitely defaults that happen April through June. That number is not going down. New defaults are down, but not those existing ones. They're still in default. It depends what the government's going to do, but there is going to be some shakeout. But I don't think that shakeout comes until after the coronavirus kind of goes away. This is a crazy economy because, fundamentally we're not healthy. People are given a feel like it is. And I think a lot of politicians are lying to the American public, saying that we're in a healthy spot when we're not. We haven't been healthy for a very long time. So I'm not, if this is before Trump, Obama, George Bush, we haven't been in a good space in a long time, just to be clear. We didn't get better. We got worse during the 4 years of President Trump. Economically, and I'm not a Democrat nor Republican, I'm just looking at facts. And the facts is that the government did not balance a budget. If you come in toting that you're a business person and you're going to balance the budget, some people voted for you to do that. And to have the deficit increase and to have spending be the most of any president ever says a lot. You only was in for 4 years and you hold that record. So more in debt, and we spent more money. And to be honest with you, the spending was out of control. Deficit was going crazy with COVID. Now, don't get me wrong, somebody like myself does take advantage of the tax cuts, but you can't subsidize tax cuts with more spending. It just doesn't work like that. If you cut revenue from the government, then you also have to cut expenses. That's balancing a budget. You don't cut the revenue and increase the spending. It doesn't work that way. From a political standpoint, it does, right? Because you want to get elected. But from a business standpoint, it doesn't. And I think a lot of us pay too close attention to the pop media and what the economy, quote unquote, feels like, and not pay attention to the details to fully understand how economics and the economy works and to really understand our position. And that's the scariest part, is that I feel like the American person or public is not really educated on how things work. And because of that, they are able to be sold stories by politicians saying that things are good when they're not, saying that they've done a great job when they haven't. And this is not just Trump. This is many other politicians as well. It's a scary thing. Ultimately, these individuals knowing better and having information really don't care to fix it. Even if it's about going through the pain, they care more so about getting voted or keeping their job. And that's the scary part to me, because this is about money and power. At the end of the day, it's not really about the American people. It's about maintaining power. It's an eye-opener. How do you play the game and how do you maintain your way of life? And the thing is, make investments. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. And remember, you get rich, you borrow money, you buy income, okay? And that's what we're going to continue to do. That's what we're going to continue to teach people to do. All right? Borrow money, buy income, repeat. We are signing off. Alex is over there. Loyan is out. But I want to wish you guys a very, very, very happy holiday season. Thank you to all the people that tune in. Obviously, we're going to continue to grow, hoping that 2021 is our best year ever. And really, really hope you guys have a joyous holiday season and a very, very happy and prosperous new year. Hopefully 2021 will be the death of COVID, or at least the rescinding of COVID to some extent. But stay safe, stay happy, and protect yourselves. G. Kelley Dixon signing off.